Chapter 1. Rolls. The sky burned. Not in the poetic way people like to remember later, not as metaphor, not as symbolism, but in the simple, terrifying way fire obeyed physics. Something had ignited where nothing should have. Something had kept burning long after it should have gone out. Smoke climbed in heavy black columns and smeared the horizon until it no longer felt like distance existed at all. The sun was still there, technically. It just didn't matter anymore. Lena stood in the middle of it. Ash-coated concrete stretched beneath her boots in spiderweb fractures, each crack branching from some earlier impact she hadn't been here to witness. Wind pushed against her, tugging at the loose fall of her blonde hair. It carried grit with it, fine enough to cling, sharp enough to sting if she ignored it too long. Her Neko ears flicked once, listening. She didn't rush. She never rushed at moments like this. Rushing was how people missed the thing that killed them. Her tactical vest was familiar weight balanced, adjusted exactly where she wanted it. Gloves snug. Harness secure. Every piece of gear where muscle memory expected it to be. She scanned left to right, then slower on the return sweep, eyes narrowing as she mapped shadows, broken windows, collapsed rooftops. Nothing moved. That bothered her more than chaos ever did. She brought 2 fingers up to her comm. The visual's clear, Lena said, voice even, steady. No movement. Yet. She lowered her hand and let the silence answer back. The city around her had the posture of something holding its breath. No distant sirens. No shouted warnings. No panicked footsteps. Just wind and smoke and the slow creak of stressed metal. Someone wanted it quiet. 3 time zones away, the smell of coffee drowned out everything else. Mira smiled as she slid a latte across the counter, fingers careful not to slosh foam over the rim. The cafe buzzed with the layered noise of morning machines hissing, cups clinking, conversations overlapping in fragments. Extra foam, right? She said brightly. The customer nodded, already distracted by their phone. Mira didn't mind. She rarely did. Her tail flicked behind her without conscious thought, a loose, rhythmic motion that mirrored the music playing softly overhead. She moved too easily for someone who, by all appearances, was just another cheerful barista navigating a rush. The bell over the door chimed again. Then her bracelet buzzed. Once, short, precise. Mira didn't freeze. She didn't stiffen. She just blinked and smiled a little wider as she handed off change. "Have a great morning," she said, genuine as ever. Only after the customer turned away did Mira glance down at her wrist. The bracelet looked like cheap jewelry. That was the point. Her smile shifted, not fading, not cracking, just adjusting, like she'd tilted her head slightly to hear something better. She finished the order queue quickly, waved to her coworker, and ducked into the back room under the pretense of restocking syrups. The door clicked shut behind her. The cafe noise vanished. Mira leaned back against the shelf and exhaled through her nose. "Okay," she whispered, voice still light, still upbeat, but sharpened now, edges finding focus. "I'm listening." Zack lived in controlled light. Monitors surrounded him in a gentle arc, each tuned to a different frequency of truth. Raw data streamed endlessly, satellite feeds, intercepted packets, facial recognition logs, traffic patterns that told stories if you knew how to read them. Most people didn't. Zack did. He leaned back in his chair, fingers loosely steepled, posture relaxed enough to look careless. It was a cultivated habit. People underestimated you faster when you looked comfortable. His very dark red hair threaded with subtle blue accents caught the ambient glow of the screens. His blue eyes moved constantly, tracking inconsistencies rather than information. Information lied. Patterns didn't. They've started moving assets, Zack said into his mic, British accent smooth, conversational as if he were commenting on the weather. Logistics first. Communications rerouting second. That tells me this wasn't the original plan. He tapped a key, bringing up a secondary display. Either something spooked them, he continued, or they're about to do something loud. The image sharpened. A city. Satellite resolution filled in details, streets, rooftops, thermal signatures. One cluster glowed hotter than the rest. Zack tilted his head slightly. And there it is. Coordinates blinked into existence. His expression shifted, not dramatically. Zack didn't do dramatic. But the humor softened, drained just enough to reveal focus underneath. Lena, he said gently, you're standing exactly where they want you. Back in the ruins, Lena exhaled slowly through her nose. She adjusted her stance by a fraction, redistributing weight without conscious thought. Her grip tightened not on her weapon, but on her resolve. Figures, she replied. What changed? Zack's fingers danced across his keyboard. Intent, he said. They didn't want witnesses at first. Now they do. Lena's gaze tracked a distant rooftop. What about Mira? There was a pause. Not long, just long enough. Zack leaned back again, masking it with ease. She's already involved, he said quietly. She just doesn't know how deeply yet. Mira sneezed suddenly in the cafe storage room. Huh, she muttered, rubbing her nose, tail swaying behind her. That's new. Her bracelet buzzed again. This time it didn't stop. Her cheerful expression didn't vanish, but something behind it clicked into place. Awareness. Wow, Mira said softly, still smiling to herself. Okay then. 3 people. 3 lives carefully balanced on routine and distance and assumption. 3 roles that had never been meant to overlap. And a moment drawing closer fast where normal would no longer be an option. None of them, not Lena, not Mira, not even Zack, could yet see the full shape of what was coming. But the sky had already begun to burn.